Greetings and welcome to another edition of Caring About Seniors. I am your host, Adrienne Houghton. And each week I sit down with Oasis Senior Advisors Jacksonville and we discuss all aspects of senior living. Today joining me from Oasis is Al Bagocious and our guest is Grace De La Rosa from Living with Grace. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
How is everybody?
Everybody's doing good.
Wonderful. Grace, we're going to talk about your work. You are a mindfulness coach.
Yes.
You are a meditation facilitator.
Yes.
And you are an advocate for holistic well-care and mental health.
That's right.
All of those things, I'm sure, are really necessary with seniors.
Without a doubt, yes.
So before we go any further, is there a situation where seniors actually need the meditation, let's say the meditation predominantly, at a time when they wouldn't have needed it, say, 10 years earlier?
Yes, as we continue to age, we all know the brain ages. So one of the things that we can use to prevent any more damage to the brain is meditation. It's just like working out. When we work out, it's not in the working out itself that we start growth in the muscles. It's when we rest, right? When we rest and the body repairs itself, that's when the growth occurs. And the same thing happens in the brain. So meditation, even though people think it's, oh, I don't have time for that. Well, you have time to work out, right?
Right.
What about the brain? Let it rest. It's no different than, shutting down your computer or turning off your phone for it to recharge.
Are there varied techniques, or is there just one way to meditate?
There's all types of ways to
Really?
meditate. Something that can fit for most everybody. And I have to say right off the bat, just to be transparent, meditation isn't for everybody. They're only ready when they're ready. And so if they can't today, maybe they can try it for 1 second even, and continue to increase the time of the meditative state. It's really good, not only for the brain, but for the heart. Calms you down. Your blood pressure goes down. You're a lot kinder to people around you,
Just the way you're talking, I'm thinking, oh, I think I'm actually starting to meditate now. And yet it's something that I find incredibly difficult because my mind's always racing. I'm always on the go. People say to me, come and do yoga, but I can't do yoga because I can't. I'm thinking, I need to go and get chicken for dinner or something like that. So is it something that you have to learn?
You practice just like you practice brushing your teeth when you were little. Right? Something that simple. You take it slowly. And a little bit today is better than nothing at all. So even if it's, 2 minutes, try that. Even with music. Eventually what you want to do is have no sound and sit in silence. Yes, it's very scary. So we lead you that way. It's like taking a young child, and starting them off at the shallow end of the pool. And you know how you always say, come closer, come closer. It's the same kind of thing. You wait and wait and wait, and then you realize, oh my gosh, I made it to mom and dad. Mom and dad's safe arms.
Hence the guided meditation facilitator. I mean, I think that's wonderful.
Yes.
So let's talk about mental health, because I think there's a number of things that are triggered with seniors, and I'm sure, Al, you've seen a lot of this, that you could suddenly go into a spiral with a spouse dying or through financial problems. What sort of factors do you see that come into play with seniors and mental health?
Seniors, depression, especially when physical stuff starts changing. So many of us are active, and then to go from active to sedentary because of a issue. Al mentioned earlier about a horrific sounding incident where his ligaments tore basically, and had to be, rebuilt by what? Recovery and rest. It's the not doing is the doing. And one of the things I've learned with seniors is, we all think about, substance use disorder causes depression, and it does. You know, the more you use that stuff, the more depressed one gets. So even that midnight nightcap, you know, kind of thing, it works for just a few seconds, and then as it seeps in, it can have some really depressive states for the person drinking. So,
what are the solutions?
well, what I was going to say, when that happens, a lot of times they'll get sloppy in their movements and they'll fall. A lot of times the elderly will fall and die from complications from that fall before the diseases themselves, you know. And when we're talking about 65% of the population of the elder, that's a lot. I got that from NIDA, you know, National Institute of Drug Addiction, and that scares me. Last night I went to my mother and father's for to celebrate my mother's 83rd birthday, and it was sad because I saw she lost a moment of time and didn't remember my sister, and there was this emptiness in her face that just ripped my heart.
Yeah, I'm sure it must be difficult. What do you think it is that resonates with you about working with seniors?
Just trying to keep them as happy and active as possible. When they stay active, when they have a purpose, they have a reason to wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, and to remember that being a senior is a gift. It really is. With everything that we go through, it is a gift and a privilege to be able to see this next time in my life.
Yes.
You know, and if we could do things better for the future, even though I'm all about now.
Yeah.
Now is doing the next right thing so the next breath I take will be even better. That's our tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes because it's always today.
Wow. If I could just say one thing, going back to your meditation, what meditation does, it really connects the mind and the body. And the disconnect is what causes the falls. So the meditation gives the senior that preparatory stance of, what if I do this? What if I do that? What if I bend down too low? They get connected to their brain and their body so they don't have to have that fall.
I'm glad you brought that up. Now we're really going into spirituality, which is really all what I'm about. Living with Grace is about spirituality, but people tend to get afraid of that word when all it is just really connecting with who you're meant to be, and connecting, if you believe in a higher power, keeping that channel open so that you can be a vessel of that goodness and light, you know? And to me, that is the foundation of being human. If we remember where we are meant to be, and logic and intellect don't work in spiritual realm, you know? What works there is the heart. If you follow your heart, you know, and we didn't have any people that thought negative of that, our world would be so much better today. Our businesses would be so much better. You know, we've just been so focused on the dollar sign that we've forgotten why we're doing what we're doing.
Do you think there are some simple techniques that the viewers may be able to help themselves with that you can give?
Yes. Could I give you like a quick demonstration of it?
Absolutely.
Okay, so here's what I'll do. Usually I'll have some music because a lot of times it unnerves people that are not used to silence. So what I'll do, I'll guide you. So what I want you to do is, since we're on stools, just make sure that your knees don't ever pass your toes. Okay, so it should be like at a 90-degree angle. And then what I'd like for you to do is make sure your lower back is straight. And if you imagine your head reaching up to the ceiling and lifting those vertebrae up into a very nice alignment. And then I'd ask you to roll your shoulders up to your ears and tense it up just a few moments. And then slowly roll it back and then just let it drop. That puts you in a really nice neutral position, and then gently close your eyes. Breathing in through your nostrils and exhaling through slightly parted lips. And then just listening to my voice and the silence, the buzzing in the air. Now what what I'd like for you to do, since this is TV. Just slowly open your eyes and just notice how brighter the colors are going through your audio field.
I think
Visual field.
I meditated for a little bit.
Even for a second.
Just for a second there, I was almost zen.
I had to make it really short, but it just gives you a flavor of what can happen through the meditation.
Yeah, that was monumental. I mean, just the fact of straighten yourself out.
Yes, you can breathe better already.
Yep.
That's one of the biggest problems, I think, with seniors, is that they tend to, as they get older, they tend to hunch and curl.
That's right.
And just by standing up, pulling back and sort of engaging your core.
That's right. Yes.
Really helps a lot with, you know, brain function and all manner of different things.
Certainly does. And
Yes.
that alone is exercise 101 for the person that's having a hard time even sitting up.
Right.
That's exercise.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
a beautiful thing, very easy. It doesn't have to be, you know, running 10 miles to get exercise.
No.
Just that. Especially
Great.
for somebody who's sedentary, right?
Yes, yes. Grace, thank you. I mean, I'm sure that has been really useful for a lot of people that'll be watching this. And thank you for all you do with the seniors.
Oh, thank you so much.
I think it's so necessary, and we're not a forgotten group, but we are a large group that seems to be getting larger.
Absolutely.
And we need to make more of a force here to make sure that we're all looked after. And
You know
we're
what
all
I'd like to see
caring.
is a more holistic care for, like, with the neurologists.
Yes.
And maybe some of the social workers, you know, coming together and doing this, how each one of us has our specialty.
Yeah.
And if we came together and worked on just one individual, how beautiful that
Yes.
dynamic
Yes.
would be, you know.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you
it's
so
a pleasure
much,
to see you
Adrienne.
again. It's always a pleasure to see you, Mr. Vagocious.
Thank you, Al.
And don't forget, if you'd like to know any more information about anything that you see here on Caring About Seniors, you can also find it on iwantabuzz.com.
Absolutely, and this is an area that many of our veterans don't know about, but is so critical, especially with so many here in town. So, for our veterans, the VA will actually help pay for assisted living. The basic requirements are you had to have at least 90 consecutive days of active duty during a declared war period. You didn't have to serve in theater. You could have been in Europe during Vietnam, but you had to have 90 consecutive days of active duty, and one of those had to correspond with a declared war period. That's your service requirement. Then you have to have a medical need for assisted living, and that's as simple as the doctor says you're a fall risk and he wants you to use a cane or a walker. That alone can get you the medical need. And then the cost of the assisted living has to exceed your gross monthly income. That's not hard to do. And then you can't have more than $127,000 in liquid assets outside of a trust. A house doesn't count, and things that are protected in a trust don't count. So if you meet all those requirements, for a single veteran, the VA will chip in $1,900 a month toward the cost of assisted living. It's a significant benefit. For a married veteran, it's almost $2,300 a month. And the portion that really doesn't know about this benefit, the surviving spouses of our deceased veterans, the VA will chip in almost $1,250 a month for that. It's a difference maker and really can get some people that were in a very difficult situation into a safe one.
Greetings and welcome to the latest edition of Caring About Seniors. I am your host, Adrienne Houghton. Now, each week I sit down with Dave Stieglitz, the president of Oasis Senior Advisors Jacksonville, and we discuss all aspects of senior living. Today, we're delighted to welcome Nicole Ruff, who is the family counsellor for Arlington Park Funeral Home and Gardens. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So before we get into anything else, what is a family counsellor?
A family service counselor is just that. We're going to provide services and counsel when you come into our funeral home and need any kind of cemetery needs. We will counsel you through all the questions.
I mean, there's a lot of different questions in there. For a start, it's not the easiest subject to tackle.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I'm sure there's
That's
people
fair.
sort of going, oh no, what are they going to talk about? Well, the fact of the matter is that we're all going to pass on at some point
Yes.
in time.
It's 100%
100%.
guaranteed.
Yes. So tell me the difference between funeral and cemetery and cremation. You know, there's so many different things going on there.
Yeah, so a lot of families will come in and they'll use that verbiage interchangeably, funeral and cemetery. So cemetery will be dealing with anything out in the cemetery. So that'll be spaces, plots, mausoleums, family estates. That'll be dealing with your markers. And funeral is everything that happens before you get to the cemetery. That's when a loved one passes, we bring you into our care from home, hospice, or hospital. And then that's refrigeration, that's embalming, that's your funeral services for visitation in our chapel, casketing, cosmetology. Those are your funeral services.
Wow. I didn't quite know that there was so much involved. I mean,
There's a lot of different aspects and a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about till they come in and they're like, wow, there's a lot of things going on today, and it can be very overwhelming.
especially at a time that, you know, when it's difficult. Yeah.
Talk about pre-planning. What percentage of the families have actually pre-planned and have this all laid out and say, this is what I want done versus, oh my gosh, this happened and nobody did any planning and now we got to do it from scratch?
Do everything from scratch. So that's the hardest counseling session that you come into, and it's called an at-need family. That's when they've already had somebody pass, and now you're helping them make all their arrangements, and they haven't had any pre-planning done. So all of that financial obligation and emotional burden falls onto the family. I mean, if they have family, you know. So with all that financial obligation, you can take all of that away from your family and just come in, you pre-plan, you make your arrangements in advance. Your funeral arrangements, your cemetery arrangements, how you see it and bring it for yourself, you know. And then your family service counselor will guide you through all the questions so we don't miss anything. And it's just all done when your family comes in at that time.
Do you link with any lawyers if people are putting their wills together? Do they sort of specifically say, well, I want to have this, 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 and this, and that's already linked to something that they've done with you?
It could, yeah, absolutely, because we will bind everything with a contract. The money that you pay in goes into a trust, and you can give all of that to your estate planning, your attorney, your lawyer, and also we provide a free estate planning booklet that you can get notarized and it'll be all done, or you can just fill it out and give it to your attorney as well.
So all the questions that people perhaps forget to ask themselves, you've got written down that they can kind of tick a box almost.
Absolutely, absolutely. We work it through one by one, and the first thing that we do is just simply have a conversation. You know, what do you see? What has your family traditionally done? Do you see that for yourself? What does your spouse, you know,
So is this how
traditionally
you
do?
start to the pre-planning conversation?
Absolutely. It's just, you know, just a very simple conversation. And that's what we're really at the heart trying to do. Just educate our families on all of their opportunities, because there's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I could see how people could be hesitant on making some decisions when they are unaware of all of the opportunities, and then they just kind of push it off. You know?
Have you found yourself involved with some of these newer things, like, oh, I want to be, you know, put into the base of a tree, or I want to be turned into a diamond, or
Absolutely.
whatever?
Yeah, and so we do provide that. Well,
You're
not the tree, but you can do the diamond, and you don't even have to be cremated to do the diamond. You can just take pieces of your hair and turn that in, and they'll make a diamond with
So
it.
hang
Yes.
on.
We
I'm
can
getting
just
quite
do it
excited
now.
Wait,
You don't
okay.
have to wait to pass.
So, really?
You could take my hair and turn it into a diamond?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yes. You'd be a beautiful diamond.
No, I was told that you had to be cremated, and then the ashes create a yellow diamond.
Yeah. So there's that option as well. There's
Oh.
also a fantastic, it's called, it's a reef project. And what they do, it's called Eternal Reefs. And it's a great project. And you get cremated by us, and then your family takes the ashes down to Eternal Reef, and you become part of the reefs. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, the options then
Yes.
are tremendous, and people don't know this. It's a case of, either you're going to be cremated or you're going to be buried, and that's not the case anymore, is it?
There's just so many options.
Oh my goodness! So
Another advantage of pre-planning.
Exactly.
You have to
just
go
having
home
a
and think about,
conversation.
wow, yeah.
I would like to be perfectly preserved in a Chanel suit and a Bombay sapphire.
we can
blue
make it happen.
coffin, you know.
With some purple in there
we
somewhere.
have a blue coffin.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop. No. So why do you think that people hesitate before they do this?
So it's going to be a multifocal.
Right.
It's going to be because either they don't think they can afford it. It might be a financial, not everybody can pay 100% for their funeral, which is just fine. If you have $20 in your monthly budget, you can get started. Honestly, you just prioritize purchase. You can, which is just piecing out what you're going to do. You don't have to have a full package contract laid out. You can say, you know what, I'm just going to get my mausoleum space for me and my significant other today. And okay. And then once you pay for that, we'll start adding on other pieces. So you can get started for very little, or you can just pay for the whole thing. And we finance in-house, so there's no credit checks, and you just work with us to figure out what's comfortable for your budget. Also, it's just because people are they just don't know all of their options, and they don't do themselves the benefit. They don't give themselves the opportunity to learn before they say no. So if they just come in and have a simple conversation, or we can come out to your home, we do that as well. And in a couple weeks, in 2 weeks, I have a presentation for a whole family. The siblings are coming over with their spouses, and we're just going to talk about what their opportunities are, and they can make it as a family.
Now, is that something new that you're doing with Arlington?
It's going to, it's not necessarily new because there's always been family estates out there.
Right.
And so people do plan ahead, and they think, okay, I'm going to purchase this and we can be together. And it makes it so much easier for when a loved one comes out. They don't have to go all around the cemetery trying to find you, or from cemetery to cemetery. You know, you're right there at your family estate,
Right.
which makes it so much nicer for your family. And especially years down the road, somebody else passes in your family, and now that spot next to you is taken, so now we have to put you somewhere else. And so it's just so nice to have a family estate, and it doesn't cost you any more.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Keep you all together.
Mm-hmm.
How wonderful. So what's new at Arlington?
Our newest adventure out there is we're building a brand new mausoleum, and it's going to have an interior that will be locked, and the key will be given to your families. So it's going to be very private. It'll also have the exterior mausoleum crypts as well. Inside, it will have a chapel, and it'll be climate controlled, so a nice AC. You'll have glass front niches, and niches are a place where we would put our urns for cremation instead of a larger crypt for a casket.
So can you be cremated and then still be sort of placed in the ground next to?
Absolutely.
Oh, you don't have to be.
No, you can be. You
I'm
can.
not sure about the technical word
you're
or
right.
the PC word.
It's ashes, Adrian.
It's
Ashes. They can be put anywhere.
Cremains.
Cremains.
Yes,
Okay.
but
Cremains.
but let's use verbiage that everybody is aware of and uses. So yes, the ashes can completely be interred into the ground.
Because I'm not sure everyone really wants to just be in a pot on a sideboard somewhere, do
Well,
they?
well, and then a lot of the times you would be surprised to see how many of these urns end up at Goodwill. Or they get put aside into a closet because what happened to Great Uncle Bob, and now he's in the closet, and what is this? And okay, we're just going to take this box to Goodwill. Yes. Look up the statistics on that. It happens very often. A lot of parents will say, "Oh no, I'm just gonna give my urn to the kids," and I'm like, "Well, are they aware of that? You know?
Do they want it?
Yeah, do they? You
It's
know
kind of
what?
creepy.
Yeah,
It is.
because
I love my mom, but I don't think I'd want her urn on my mantle.
and some loved ones they'll bring home their loved one on an urn and say, I'm just not ready to inter him or put him into a niche. I just want to keep him with me for a little bit. And while they come in and they're making plans and arrangements, they can go home with mom and then be back at the cemetery.
We have to smile about this because it's a subject that nobody really wants to approach, mainly because when you're young, you think that it's way off into the distance, and when you're older, it's slightly closer. So it's a difficult subject. What do you think the most important thing is that you would like the audience to know?
I would just like to let you guys know that if you just started off with a simple conversation, just have the conversation, you'll see how easy it is to plan and not leave your family with any emotional burden or financial burden. That's the biggest piece.
Yeah,
And let's face
great
it,
message. Yeah.
wouldn't it be nice to go to somewhere and see somebody that looks like Nicole talking to you about something that is a little bit sad?
It can be, yeah. And also when we pre-plan, you actually laugh a lot more than you would think, because you talk about all the options and
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming in and sharing this with us. I think it's certainly been enlightening.
Oh, good.
Because I found out a little bit more than I did before, which is always educational.
And that you're going to be a diamond.
I'm going to be a diamond. Yes.
And you're going to be a diamond.
I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
There you go.
We're diamonds already. Thanks for coming in, Nicole.
Thank you.
And don't forget, if you'd like to know any more information about Arlington Park Funeral Home, Cemetery and Gardens, you can also find it at iwantabuzz.com.
We are local. We are your local experts in senior housing. We have taken the time to personally set foot in just about every licensed senior community in Northeast Florida. And not just, be there, but also pay attention to, is the same staff there or are they having turnover? Are the residents smiling? Are they happy? Are they interacting with the staff? And what is the culture? What is the personality? There's a lot of intangibles that we pick up on and remember when it's time to match a client with the right community. The intangibles are as important as the tangibles. And I think that sets us apart in that intimate personal knowledge of the communities in Northeast Florida.